With the new Helluva boss episode, we got our first real look at the Ring of Sloth. So today I'm going to talk about everything we know about it so far, and what we can theorize about until we inevitably return here. My name is Deepcut, hit that subscribe button because we have a lot of cool Helluva boss videos coming that you won't want to miss. Now, there are of course 7 rings of hell, each modeled after one of the 7 deadly sins and ruled by one of the 7 princes of hell found in the real-life Peter Binsfield classification of demons. The Sloth ring is the lowest of the 7 rings with a pink sky. For a while, I thought Stolas lived in the Sloth ring as the windows from his home showed pink, and the first outside shot we got of his home in the pilot showed a pink sky as well. The colors of the sky blend into each other, hence why they are mostly on a progressive spectrum. So in the morning, the Pride ring probably looks a lot like Sloth, and at night in the Sloth ring, the sky may be much darker, closer to Pride's general red. In today's episode, we only saw the Sloth ring during the day, with Blitz bringing Luna there for the annual Hellby shot she needs, but is only able to schedule out 5 years ahead of time. That means the only thing we really got to see in the Sloth ring is the hospital area that Blitz has to go to, but the fact that they had to go all the way to Sloth for this one shot should probably tell you how important the medical industry is to the Sloth ring, as each ring seems to have some sort of staple industry that they dominate. In addition to the medical industry, Sloth likely has the common industries found in each ring. The Pride ring undoubtedly has sexy nightlife, so that shouldn't be restricted to just the Lust ring. Rather, the nightclubs in the Lust ring are just the most popular. They are sort of the capital for that industry. But Blitz going all the way to Sloth indicates there isn't much in the way of hospitals in each ring of hell. Demons are generally pretty resilient, and I imagine if there are medical services in other rings, they are largely emergency response, but Millie even felt it was best to bring the dying Stolas to the Sloth ring instead of a local emergency room in Wrath. In previous episodes, we saw that Stolas was addicted to happy pills that came with Belfagor branding, Belfagor being the prince of the Sloth ring, not yet appearing in the show. Interestingly, the label for these sleeping pills also contained a candle on it, such as seen on the candle-headed demons in Hell. Most demon species are believed to be native to a particular ring of Hell, and by process of elimination, the candle-headed demons were already theorized to live in Sloth. Though instead of resembling Belfagor, as he's described in real-life texts, these candle-headed demons instead resemble the real-life deity Baphomet. Baphomet is allegedly a deity that the Knights Templar worshipped, who was later depicted in occult writings as a goat-headed demon with a candle above him. Baphomet is not a demon in traditional Christian thought, but has been used to represent Satan in the modern age, and thus would make an interesting addition to the demonic royals that exist in the show. Belfagor, the Prince of Sloth, is said to have rebelled from heaven because he was too lazy to work. In Helluva Boss, I could see him being so lazy that he'd let another demon, Baphomet, come in and rule the ring for him. Baphomet would create a system that keeps Belfagor drugged up and indulging in sloth, such as with happy pills as well as the sleeping pills that appear to also come from this ring, as seen on Blitz's phone apps. From here, he would have expanded into the general medical industry, and with demons not needing much in the way of medicine to begin with, most of his profit would come from making addicts out of his patients with pharmaceuticals. Certain medical necessities like the Hellby shots would still be done by the Sloth ring, and it would only help them maintain control over their pharmaceutical interests, pushing them on different patients at every opportunity they can. Baphomet, however, may not have any allegiance to Sloth, and thus other demons may have allegiance to him while being from other rings. Satan seems to be held in high regard by the Wrath Imps, for instance, as he is their prince, but Millie's brother has a Baphomet tattoo on his arm, indicating that Baphomet may be more of a cultural movement in Hell, a rebellion to subvert and take down the princes. Like with a lot of Western hospitals, the Sloth ring facilities are beautiful. Like the Hellevator, it is a public service open to all that seems really luxurious for the common folk of Hell, but unlike the Hellevator, which has some practical use, the medical system seems built to milk people for all they have, and never give them the care they need, even when it's mandated for them. Luna, as discussed, needs an annual shot, but they are only scheduled out 5 years in advance, so she hasn't been able to get it. Different demon species do seem to work at the hospital, but is staffed by largely these candle-headed demons. This nerf gives the impression that most of the residents of Sloth are hopped up on happy pills and relaxation pills, and of course, sleeping pills at night, constantly in a state of giving their body a different fix, but leading to her being unable to focus and in a zombie-like state. As we've seen with Stolas, what starts as one pill to get you through the day quickly becomes a handful for these demons, who need more and more just to maintain their basic mood. Really interesting to me is that when Stolas is being pulled out of the van, we can see it's a couple of plague doctors leading the charge. In real life, the plague doctors with their bird mask were known for trying to contain and treat the bubonic plague, with many conspiracy theories popping up that they were actually the ones spreading it themselves. In Helluva Boss, we have seen quite a few times that demons are used by royal elites for missions on Earth to hurt humans, weaken their societies, and make more sinners. Varosika and the Succubi are sent up to spread lust, and perhaps even STDs as blitz jokes, and imps are sent up for war missions according to Millie's family. If the Succubi are spreading STDs, it makes sense that the demons of hell would be responsible for something like the bubonic plague too, sending sloth-trained demons to spread the disease up on Earth. Each ring seems to find a way to take their theme and stretch it just enough to help the conquering of Earth and the terrorizing of humans. The hospitals of Sloth are absolutely stunning, but it is all at the expense of the patients who rarely get to use these facilities when they actually need them. Sloth as a whole seems to be rather beautiful and well kept, with the floating islands in the sky and their little waterfalls providing much beauty. I imagine that makes Sloth a popular vacation destination for all demons, but perhaps the elites in particular, as it's a luxury they can afford. The Sloth ring is just below the Envy ring, which appears to be the home to deep-sea demons that this episode depicts as having a very Elias mindset. While the demon woman in the hospital only looked like a suburban mom, that is becoming increasingly expensive to be in real life, and there is a culture of elitism being parodied with this character here. While each ring seems to have nice areas, it almost seems like things get better the further you go down, with more elite demons closer to the bottom of hell, with overall nicer atmospheres and quality of life compared to Pride, which is a punishment ring for sinners, and Wrath, which is essentially home to a slave class. For a while now, I've theorized that water in hell is flowing downward through the rings, and this episode seems to further prove that theory. Pride and Wrath seem to be rather dry places so far, and according to Blitz in episode 3, the nearest ocean to their place in the Pride ring was 3 rings down, which would be the Greed ring. The Greed ring is home to a lot of shark demons who would presumably live in this ocean and be separate from the more deep-sea demons believed to come from Envy. From Greed, I theorized the water of the ocean was slowly leaking down into the ring below it, which would be Lust, where it appears to always be raining. I believe the water to come down from the Greed ring, rain into the Lust ring, and then leak down into the Envy ring, continuing to fill its ocean. From here, I believe some of that water leaks down to the Sloth ring, fueling the waterfalls that we see. As the lowest ring of hell, Sloth is the last landmass before getting to the planet of Hell's core, and I imagine that these floating islands we see may actually be pulled up by the large combined mass of the 6 rings above Sloth, allowing for smaller rock structures to be pulled up and held in place. Finally, all over the Sloth ring, we seem to find Venus flytraps, which are little plants that hold still but have bugs drawn into them, and then they consume those bugs. I'm not really sure what this is about, but they seem symbolic of the Sloth mindset, which is to hold still and have what you want come to you so you can devour or consume it, something reflected in its people by a desire to do as little as possible. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and what other topics you'd like to see me cover this week. We'll of course have an Envy Ring video that you won't want to miss, so subscribe and I'll see you then.